Hello and welcome to The History of. I'm Richard and this is...
I'm Gary.
My husband. And this is all about a whirlwind trip to New York City. And the reason why we went to New York is to see Chess the Musical. Now, a little bit of history about Chess the Musical is the musical came out in the late 80s and wasn't very successful. And I wasn't even aware of it until I heard the music in the mid-90s, and it was a concept album. And I absolutely love the concept album, and I listened to it a lot. And I'd always wished that I could see the actual musical on stage. But no, it was never available, except for concerts, but I wasn't even aware of those. How about you?
I wasn't aware of it until I started dating you. I mean, obviously I knew One Night in Bangkok, but I never knew that was associated with a musical. I just was oblivious to it, and you introduced me to it, and I fell in love with it. And then shortly after we started dating, there was the concert version with Idina Menzel, Adam Pascal, and Josh Groban, and that has ended up being my personal favorite version. I paid for it so that I could have the PBS thing for Apple iTunes, which of course now I have no access to, which really sucks, the video of it. It is a musical that I've always been interested in. And seeing, well, not always. I've been interested in seeing it since we've been together, since you introduced it to me.
Yeah. Fast forward to 2025?
To this summer, when we were on our cruise.
That's when we learned that Chess the Musical was in production and was going to premiere in New York.
And what was really cool is it had 3 artists that we were actually interested in. More so for me, but at least Leah Michelle for both of us.
Yeah.
I was interested in Aaron Tveit, and I was interested in Nicholas Christopher. So that was a really cool thing. It was like, oh my God, it's going to be 3 actors that we actually want to see in these lead roles.
Yeah. We wanted to make sure that we saw Chess with those 3 main actors. Because, after a while, when a show runs for a while, the, actors want to leave because they want to try other things or they want to break. So we wanted to make sure that we saw those 3 actors, and we didn't even want to wait until winter break, because if we waited until winter break, maybe one of them wanted to spend time with their family, and then they're like, oh, I'm done. And, because that's when we were on a break. We're in the winter. And so let's say we decide, hey, let's buy tickets in the winter, crossing our fingers that they would be playing. So we didn't want to do that. We wanted to make sure to get tickets as soon as possible. So we decided to get it on what day?
We actually picked the 25th of October because that actually is our anniversary. We thought it would be really cool to make this our anniversary gift to ourselves this year, because we always do something really special when we go and do for the weekend. And we thought, okay, this is on our anniversary, and it's about what we would normally spend for our anniversary. So we were like, okay, that's justifiable.
So we got the tickets, but then we had to decide what we're going to do. Are we going to get a hotel? How many days are we going to stay? Because it was on a Saturday? Right?
Saturday night.
We got the tickets for a Saturday night. So we had to decide, did we want to purchase hotel like Friday night, Saturday night, and then fly out Sunday because we had to go back to work on Monday? We just decided, no, we didn't need to stay at a hotel. We could just go there and spend some time in New York and Manhattan and Times Square, and then see the show. I'm trying to remember how we actually decided on that.
So when I was looking at flights, I wanted nonstop flights. I didn't want to deal with any layovers. And when I was looking at the flights, all of the flights had us leaving so early in the morning. They were leaving at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I saw no reason for us to have a hotel room for Saturday night if we were going to have to be at the airport by, let's say, 4 or even 5 in the morning. If we're going to have to be there at 4 in the morning, we're going to be leaving the hotel at 3 in the morning. It's like, but we're going to only have been in there since 11 o'clock, maybe midnight.
Yeah.
So 3 hours to pay for a hotel room. It was pointless.
Yeah.
So it was, okay, well, we'll just go, enjoy, and then fly home.
That makes sense. We got on the plane, and then we arrived
at JFK. We got in about 2:30.
And then we immediately took the shuttle, and then we got on the subway, which probably took about an hour. So we were on this E-train heading to Manhattan. This is Gary's first time going to Manhattan.
My first time on the subway.
First time on the subway in New York, yeah.
I'm ready to eat. I'm really ready to eat. But I don't want to waste time. I want to get there first.
I just know that we didn't get into Manhattan until just about 4:30.
Okay.
About 4 o'clock, between 4 and 4:30.
And their public transit system is just absolutely amazing. There's like no stress, you know, just boom, boom, boom. Subway there. We're right there. Drop us off at Times Square. This was my second time being in Times Square. This is Gary's first time. So we decided to spend some time looking around Times Square. But our goal first was to not really take a lot of time in Times Square at first, because we wanted to make sure we knew where the theater was. So we knew how to get there quickly. So we walked to the theater. What was the theater called?
The Imperial.
We found the street where chess is playing, and then we decided to look around Times Square a little bit, which was very flashy and very crowded.
It's a Saturday evening.
And then we got hungry, so we decided to go eat, and we found the Hard Rock Cafe.
Had to go very touristy.
Well, that, and I've never been in the Hard Rock Cafe, so I kind of wanted to take this opportunity to be at the Hard Rock Cafe, and it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, for you.
It was just it just turned out to be like more or less a generic restaurant. It had music memorabilia from different bands and different singers, their guitars or clothing or whatever, and that was pretty cool. But as a restaurant, it was pretty lame. So, and then I was pretty frustrated because I wanted something with chicken. They had some really good food with chicken, but every time I picked it, the server would say, I would ask him, does it have pepper? And she says, well, I don't know. I'll have to go check. And so she goes to check. She comes back, yeah, that has pepper. And I said, well, what about this dish? She went back, she checked, she said, everything with chicken has pepper. And that just angered me so much. I told Gary, you know what? Eat whatever you want. I will wait, and then I will go out and get something after you're done. And he didn't like that because it was our anniversary, and it's like, so I had to pick something else. But I wasn't too happy with it. But did you like it?
My burger was fine. I had the blueberry burger. You really didn't taste the blueberries. It was, because it's Halloween, so they had a themed special. I liked the brie on it. I could taste the brie.
Yeah.
But it's just, like you said, it is a generic burger. The fries were fine, but it's just fries. And for its price, it's like, you kind of hope for a little better. But, I mean, what do you expect from corporate America?
Yeah.
And right in the heart of Times Square. I know there's going to be lots of people who are like, oh, you should have had this, you should have had that. This is not my New York trip. This was just a Broadway trip. This was just so I could finally see my first Broadway show and we could see chess. So
as it opens on Broadway.
Right. And so that was the more important thing. I will finally do a New York trip eventually where I actually get to experience New York, but this was not it.
Yeah. So there was a lot of advertising for chess. It was like all over the place. It was so cool. And one thing that was very different that we don't have here in California is they have video marquees. So I thought that was really cool. And I'm so frustrated with myself because I didn't record it. I really liked it. I kept looking at it, but at no point did I think, hey, I should record this video marquee. And I'm so frustrated that I didn't do that. It's so weird. Like, sometimes I think, like, we got to take pictures and videos of lots of stuff, but then there's a lot of times I just don't even think about it. And this was one of those times, and so I'm really annoyed by that. I got some pictures of it, but it would have been nice to have a video of the video marquee.
And I'm terrible about remembering to take videos or pictures in general. I have to be reminded.
So we waited in the queue. It was really crowded. The theater lobby was very small. So Gary wanted to get some memorabilia. Well, one of the things he got was this really cool ornament. It says chess on one side and wasn't it good on the other side. It's very heavy. It's metal. Very nice. Mm-hmm. And he also got...
One Night in Bangkok.
Yeah.
This was the nicest of the shirts they had. I wasn't really impressed with it's very minimalist design on a lot of their stuff. I mean, even look at the ornament. And so I kind of wish there had been a little more to it, but at the same time, I just wanted something that I could say I brought it back from. This is my first musical, and I wanted it to my first Broadway musical that actually getting to be on Broadway.
Yeah.
So I wanted stuff that I could easily remember from it.
Then we went into the theater, which also surprised me because I'm so used to big production theaters here in LA being in gigantic theaters, very big, very wide and long, and sometimes you get a seat that's too far away from the stage. But no, this production show is in this pretty small theater, more or less.
Very small space.
Yeah.
It was very cool because, when I bought the tickets, they would tell you, like, this area has obstructed views, this area doesn't. So when we walked in our first glance, we had the mezzanine above us, and what we're used to is once the mezzanine is above you in California theaters, you're going to have an obstructed view. So I'm like, but I specifically picked one that wasn't supposed to have an obstructed view. But sure enough, they were not wrong. You got to see everything from where we were sitting. We were we had a nice center seat, and we had nothing that blocked us from seeing all the edges and anything up high. So
yeah. As far as the show goes, I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Of course, I love Leah Michele, and I wanted to see her. Of course, I love Aaron Tveit, and I wanted to see him. I have seen, actually, Nicholas Christopher before. He's been here in California, and I wanted to see him again in a lead role. And while I had thought Josh Groban was my favorite Anatoly, after this, Nicholas is now my favorite Anatoly.
Nice.
And I like the fact that Nicholas actually is a good baritone. He could actually hit the higher notes that Josh doesn't hit.
Yeah. I was floored with Leah Michele singing because I'm so used to hearing her on Glee and her recorded voice, studio voice, but her stage voice, it sounded exactly the same as she sang on Glee. I mean, her voice is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, she's flawless. And she deserves every accolade she ever gets.
Oh, yeah.
Because that woman can actually, she works so hard, and you can tell that she does it so well.
I love the show. I love the music. I was kind of bummed that some of the music was removed.
Like the merchandisers.
Because I love that song. But I liked it. I like the story. I like the layers.
The thing is that with Danny Strong's book, they incorporated more stuff, including telling both contemporary stuff to connect it to the Cold War era stuff, and then they actually built into the narrative specific events that were happening around the time that this fictional game is happening. And so they're alluding to the fact that this game is actually impacting real world events. I thought that was fun. It made it an interesting story, and it connected it. I know there have been complaints by people, and I think that's completely unfounded. This story is a good story. There is a clear narrative being told. There is a good balance of humor which is an otherwise serious topic when we're talking about war and people's lives are in balance. Anatoly is really the lead character. It's really about him through the whole thing, and everybody else is just interacting. And they make it so that the arbiter is now your chess player, and everybody else are the chess pieces being moved around by the arbiter. Whereas in the others, it almost feels like the KGB and the CIA are the players, and everybody are the chess pieces. Here it moves it out to the arbiter, and everybody's being moved by him. I know that what we saw was not the final version that ended up on opening night, because I know that every night there had been changes, because we went during previews. I guess it had started at over 3 hours on the first night.
Wow.
And they'd been working it down so that they could make a final show. I'm glad we went during previews. I like what we saw.
This is something that I didn't know that happens in New York, is the audience members can wait outside the stage door because the actors will come out and greet them. That was so cool. If I had known it, I would have been like, Gary, let's get out there really quick so we can make sure that we could, say hi to the actors. But I didn't know, so we were basically just in the theater, just taking our time, taking pictures, and, and then we go out there and I'm like, what's going on? What's happening?
And that's what we do at our theaters here is we do tend to take our time before we leave. And so we just did what we normally do. The other thing is that I did know that they come out sometimes. I've been watching a lot of TikTok reels and other videos of people who had gone to earlier previews. We were like the 10th night in. And it seemed to have been like a hit or miss. The comments I had been seeing was that they didn't come out, or they just came out, waved, and went back in. They didn't sign anything.
So we waited around. We also took pictures, and we saw Leah Michelle come out, but we were like towards the end of the line, and she barely went halfway, greeted everybody and signed stuff, and then went back in.
So she did it very, very fast.
Yeah, and then Aaron today, I think we were ready to go, and then we see him come out, and then Gary's like, "Oh my god!" so he rushes back into the line. He has the program book, like wanting him to sign it, and then he didn't come out far enough to get Gary to sign, so he went back in, and then we waited, and then another actor came out, and this was one of the players, like the ensemble. And Gary was able to get him to sign it. He didn't go back in. He left. And then we were waiting, and then Nicholas Christopher came out, and this guy was taking his time talking to people and just taking group photos and just having a long time with all the audience members. It was fantastic. And then he gets to Gary.
So I decided I was actually going to take the opportunity to say something to him, since he was actually doing that with other people. And I told him that how excited I was to actually get to see him and the other two, and that we actually came for our anniversary, and that we had come specifically to see the three of them. And so as he signed it, he's like, "Oh no, you came for the other two." He was being really like, no, nobody's here to see me. And I'm like, no. I told him that I had actually seen him as a teacher. Our school had gone to see Hamilton at the Pantages here in LA, and that he was here for it. And so I'd actually seen him before, so I did know who he was. And as soon as I was saying that, his face just like lit up, and he was like, "Oh my God, you actually were." I'm like, "Yeah, I was actually here to see the three of you. It wasn't just the two of them." I was familiar with his work, and I was happy to see his shot as the opening in something like this. And so that was very cool. I like the fact that he got all excited, just as excited as I was feeling about it. Yeah. So I have to say, on top of the fact that he's very, very talented, he's incredibly talented. I really like the humility, and I like the friendliness that he has towards the people who go to see him. That was really very cool, and that made that an extra special moment for our trip. And, I pointed out Richard, and he's all like, "Hi, Richard," so that was really very cool.
So steam coming out of the manholes in New York City is an actual real thing. Check it out. After all that, we're kind of done with Times Square, and we wanted to explore other parts of Manhattan by walking.
It was very dead.
Yeah. There wasn't very many people. It was kind of surprising. It's like everybody just wanted to go to Times Square. So we're walking around, and we happened to see Radio City Music Hall, and then we continue walking, and we passed the NBC studios, which obviously nothing was happening because there was no activity. And then we walked further, and we got to the rink at Rockefeller Center, and that was closed. That was really annoying. So we couldn't go anywhere near it.
I'm sure
all barricaded. So because pretty much everything was dead besides Times Square, we were just like, "Do you want to go back to the airport?" It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, we were like, "Let's go back to the airport."
Yeah.
We head on back. We go to the Airbus, and it's closed.
For renovations.
Closed for renovation. It was closed. So they had to put us on a bus, an actual bus, drive us to another part of the Airbus. We get on that, which takes us to the airport. Then we get in.
Well, it had to drive us into the airport. So that was the thing. So you didn't pick it up outside the airport like you would normally do. You had to take the bus into the airport. And then you could...
Oh, no. Yeah, we had to take the subway. Yeah, first we had to take the subway back to the Airbus. Forgot about that. And that seemed to take longer.
It did.
Because there seemed to be a lot more stops than when we were going to Manhattan. Going to the airport, there were way more stops. And we were like... it's a good thing that we left when we did.
Yeah.
Because we would have been stressing out if we had left at 3.
Well, and then the other thing is that having to take the bus into the airport instead of the Airbus into the airport, because we weren't taking the red line, which would have avoided stop signs and could move at a faster pace.
Yeah.
Now we're on city streets with stop signs and stop lights and having to wait. So that took longer.
Yeah.
So it meant more time. So by going earlier, it meant that we secured that we had a lot of extra time.
Yeah, definitely.
It was nice when we got into the airport. TSA was operating early, so we didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, so that was nice.
Compared to what we're used to with LAX, where they don't start till 5 a.m.
Yeah, LAX is lame. So, yeah, we got in and we were very early. So we found a place to rest. You know, they actually had this wooden recliner kind of thing, structure. And we were able to lie down and just close our eyes for about an hour, which was very difficult to do because those things were hard and it hurt my head. And then there were noises and just people being loud. It was really tough to do, but it was nice to have something to lie down on. And then we grabbed a breakfast, took it to the gate, and so we were there waiting.
Before this trip, I had strep throat. And I'd been really, really sick during the week before we left. I had technically recovered, had been on antibiotics, and my throat was feeling better. I was feeling better, but I was still very tired from having been really sick. I had lost 10 pounds just in 4 days. By the time we get to this Saturday, we've now done this long day where we'd started at 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and now we're going on staying awake for 24 hours. I was beyond exhausted. I could not wait to get home and just crawl into bed. I'm still very happy that we did this, but I was just worn out. So they made an announcement. They had overbooked now the 7:20 flight. They were trying to get volunteers to go to the 8:45 flight, and they were offering $800 a person for up to 5 people who would be willing to change their flights. Richard looks at me, as sweet as he is, and he actually asks my opinion. And my opinion was, I just wanted to go home.
Yeah, we could have saved $1,600 on this trip if we had done that.
It would have more than covered everything.
Yeah.
It would have covered dinner, it would have covered the show, and our flight.
Wow.
I mean, it was sweet that he asked me, and I appreciate that he asked me. I think if he had just said, lay down on the ground, and I would have just laid down on the ground, and then we would have waited for 8:45, I would have done it. Given the choice, I said what I said, and I appreciate that he listened to me.
So when it was time to board the plane, we sit down, we take off, and our intention was to eat our breakfast during the flight. We're at altitude, and I'm ready to eat. And then I said, okay, Gary, let's eat. And he says, oh, I can't eat right now. I said, what? I said, your food's cold. He says, that's okay, I just gotta go. And he just went, he was out. I'd never seen that before. He was just so wasted, and he was just totally out. And I just looked at him like, wow, that is so crazy. And then I just took my food, and I was like, so that is our whirlwind trip to New York just to see Chess the Musical, and it was totally worth it.
What a great opportunity, and to see people that we actually wanted to see, and in a story that is actually connected to us, that I wouldn't have really known about but for Richard, so that added that extra meaning, and to make that part of our anniversary.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good. I mean, it's like just the whole confluence of it, worked really well for us.
So it was a totally new experience, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I would totally do it again. Would you?
Dream Girls next year?
I hope you enjoyed our story about our trip to New York to see Chess the Musical. If you did, give this video a thumbs up and click subscribe.
See you on the next The History of.